And welcome to this payment cards as a competitive differentiator. My name is Ulrich Bugge. I'm the CTO in card personalization in TietoEVRY, and I will be talking about innovations in card product and personalization and sustainability. I have been in this industry for 22 years, and I've been here since the first credit cards almost when we had the magstripe cards. And in early 2000, we actually did a giant leap. We went into smart cards using the EMV standard, which all the cards are based on. And but the big technology change were linked to the start of contactless payments. When we started with NFC, near field communication, the cards became contactless, and we actually opened to all kind of other payment solutions using the same NFC technology. So then mobile payment came. First pilots were around 2007, 2008, and later we have the wearable cards, and now we are seeing one of the last developments linked to biometric cards. The card payments are booming. This is figures from the European Central Bank. It's up until 2018, and we can see that non-cash payments, among those, the card payments are really, really growing. And MasterCard, they are saying in a report in May 2020 that they are now seeing a 40% growth in contactless payments only in 2020. And I believe this is a link to the COVID-19 and the use of contactless. 80% or close to 80% now use contactless payments, and more than 80% they now view contactless as a more clean way to pay. So when these cards are, the card payments volumes are booming, there is a lot of cards out there. And this is about how to differentiate. And I made an illustration here with the issuer on top, the bank on top. By making different kind of cards or payment methods, this is your face into the market, the view, how the users or the end customers are viewing you. I would say that the trend has been on the left side here, classic and traditional. For many, many years, the card designs and all of that has been very classic. It has been complex designs, a lot of colors, a lot of different elements, complexities high, very special variants and so on. And this has been the trend for many, many years. How much can we invent and put into the face of a card? But now what we are seeing the last years is that banks are getting more like young and agile by using more simple designs, clear colors. Then maybe they switch the design to a vertical design, and they adding some special packaging. I would say Klarna is a good example of this. So go and visit Klarna and look at their cards. They're fabulous. They are more or less following this less is more. Less complex designs, more clean, more to the point. And you have the wearables where you can have a microchip. We call it a micro card. You can have a standard Visa and MasterCard into your bracelet or your keyring, and that is also illustrating kind of a young and agile attitude from the bank. And then the innovative and techie stuff, metal cards has been in there for some years, and there's a high interest on metal cards. This could really pick up. And now lately we have seen and we have heard also in Swedish news lately about biometric cards. I will go more into details about biometric cards, but also about sustainable and being more responsible. I think this sustainable will be much more into focus the next years. Then a bit about TietoEVRY. I'm representing card personalization, which is a part of card and ATM utility, as it said. We are doing a lot of things when it comes to card issuing and card processing. The processing, the card management systems, financial crime prevention, and I'm representing card personalization area. We have customer support, mobile payment solutions, a lot of partners we are linked to on mobile payments and other stuff. And there is BIN sponsorship, acquiring services, which is run by the Swedish entity, and ATM pooling services. So all of this is in the TietoEVRY card ATM utility. The card personalization has three perso bureaus, as we call them. We are putting all the cardholder data onto the card. We are doing all the security calculations and creating all the security in a card payment for the issuers, for the banks. We have more than 150 banks as customers in Nordic, Baltics, UK, and Ireland. We have a very strong position in Norway. More than 80% of all the cards for Norway produced in Norway here at TietoEVRY. Finland, we also have more or less the same market position. And we also have a substantial position in Sweden too. The Norwegian bureau is only 40 kilometers from the Swedish border, so our distribution there is the same as in Norway. We have a very clear multi-vendor policy. This gives us the opportunity to cooperate with some of the largest and more innovative companies in the world in this industry. So we are working with G&D, Thales, Tag Systems, ST Microelectronics, Infineon, and others. And this gives us access to products and innovations and also secures a price competitive level. Then, more into biometrics. The technology is maturing. We have gone from this, the picture which you can see on the left, it was like an old computer board with this green card, very stiff, very fragile. I used to say that the first biometric cards, they were like a Vasa knäckebröd. They were the same thickness and the same quality. But nowadays, this has become into what we call a single chip. It means that the card itself is produced in the same manner, same method as a normal banking card. The only addition there is that the chip itself is calculating also the biometric part, and then we have a fingerprint reader. And these cards are produced with the method of hot lamination for those who are into the card business. And here we have G&D, Thales, and Swipe and Tag Systems together working on this technology. Currently, Swipe and Tag has a bit of a lead, but the others are coming. These are based on standard Visa and MasterCard applets and specifications. So it means that Visa and MasterCard have updated the specifications so they can handle this on-device cardholder verification, which is checking the biometrics before a contactless transaction. So what are the advantages for biometric cards? First of all is the convenience. The contactless payments both below and above transaction limits, or what we can call PIN limits. It means that when I'm going to pay with my biometric card, I hold it with my thumb in my hand, I do the payment on the transaction on the terminal, and The card harvests the electricity from the terminal, evaluates my biometric fingerprint, and performs the EMV transaction. So it's very convenient for me to use it. A low value payment and a high value payment will look the same. The privacy is secured because the biometric is always only stored on the card itself. There is no central database with the biometrics. You have to enroll when you receive the card at home, and I will show you a bit how that works. Security, because you're paying with the biometrics in the POS terminals, you're almost never using your PIN. So it means that you don't expose your PIN. Nobody can steal your PIN code. It's not exposed. So, and the POS terminal and the card itself will ask for the biometric when you do the transaction. So that's an increased security. And also in this COVID-19 situation, where, as you could see, that 80% they evaluate contactless transaction as more safe than touching the terminal or entering the PIN. This increases the safety. You avoid totally touching a POS terminal. And of course, it brings some innovation and novelty to the bank or to the cardholder. So that's is of value for them. When it comes to the card production, I mentioned that this is produced as a regular card. We are personalizing them using existing solutions. Means that there is no change in the file structure or anything like this. This is more or less the same. We are generating the data and personalizing the card, but when the card is received by the cardholder, they will either receive this kind of a power package. It's a small recycled plastic dongle with some battery, and then you can insert your card, and this powers up the card so you can enroll your biometrics. You need to enter sometimes with your finger to store the pattern of your finger. And then the first transaction in a POS is secured by PIN. So that is verifying that you have still access for your card. And then after the first transaction, you can pay by using the biometric part. We're also working on a self-enrollment solution where you can use your mobile app and power up the card through the NFC antenna of the phone to enroll. This is still under development. We did a study in Sweden in October now, and the number 80% is not on this slide, but it's in the report. 80% had concerns about touching payment terminals. 75% wanted a biometric card. And as you can see here, 59%, they were actually willing to pay a monthly fee to have a biometric card. And if you're a fast reader, you could see that 48%, they will actually switch bank for a safer and more secure way to pay. It's a bit surprising. Similar results we have from studies in Norway, and we have studies from several countries. So this is quite interesting. To summarize the biometric part, there's a high customer interest for biometric cards. I think we are getting more used to using the biometric. Now, when the smartphones have the biometric to open the phone, we are more used to the biometric. It's not so scary anymore because it has been a bit scary earlier. Technology is maturing. The card is now ready for mass market. It has the form, shape, and quality as a standard card. Price levels are also dropping. We are working with the leaders in this market, have access to the best of technology, and we are currently in projects with a few Nordic issuers. You might have seen some press releases about this. Then, second part, I will talk about sustainability. Growing card volumes will require more sustainable options. The cards will be here for many years, and that's important. So, but first, a couple of words about TietoEVRY in general. We are aiming to deliver sustainable IT solutions to improve the environment, and we take the social economic conditions and the role of influencing in a positive way. Um, the sustainability is a part of our daily work. It goes down to each and every one employed. And we want to be an ethical forerunner in the global society. If we dig down to the card basics, not all know that the card, a normal banking card, is normally produced by 5 layers of plastic. And the most common material is PVC. It has been PVC since the beginning of the card. There's been some small testing with other stuff earlier, but not because of environment, but because of testing other methods. But PVC has been a default, and 95 to 98% or more of the cards in the world are made by PVC. And I will dig more into PVC later, but PVC is made of oil and salt. The challenge with the PVC is that when you incinerate it or burn it, it will give a pollution. So it needs to be in a controlled manner. But the card body in itself of a CO2 over a PVC card has about 20 grams of CO2 equivalents in the making of the card. Chip and antenna has more or less the same. As long as we have chip and antenna, we cannot influence too much on that. But if we think about 20 grams of CO2 equivalents, it doesn't tell me much. But if you look on the volumes that is forecasted by the Nielsen report, that we are close to 30 billion payment cards in circulation in 2023. This equals more or less 600,000 tons of CO2. This is like flying 10 million persons, not flying, but flying. Oslo, Stockholm, Oslo. Card production matters. We have to take the responsibility, and we need to find the best solution, the most sustainable solutions. So we are looking into this from cradle to grave. And let's dig into some of them. This is an illustration of the full value chain, the lifetime on the card, from the raw materials. We call it often the polymers. It's a bit techy, but the raw materials, which is inside the card body, and the designs, the batch sizes, the planning in the factories. I will go more into raw materials on next slide, so I will touch the others a bit more here. When it comes to the design, I mentioned the design, complex designs. If you want to have a unique color that nobody else is using, and you want 500 cards, we have to buy paint for 500,000 cards. What should we do with the rest? So that's not very sustainable. So to create card designs, which is not so complicated, not having like 30 colors with all kind of variants on board, that's a more sustainable solution. And also when it comes to batch sizes, to have a batch size which is, because when you print, imagine printing like newspaper. I've not done that, but printing cards. So you have to adjust the machines, adjust the colors and all of that. And if you have a lot of colors on top of each other, you have to adjust for every new color, and you have a lot of waste. So producing a very small amount of cards creates a huge pile of waste percentage-wise compared to the cards you want. So planning is essential, batch size is essential, and designs. Here is the less is more worth a lot. And when it comes to sustainable transport, there is a big difference where you produce the cards. If you produce them in Singapore, you need to fly them from Singapore to Stockholm, and that equals the same CO2 emission per card as the card body itself. So it doubles the CO2 emissions. So here also batch planning and batch sizes and planning is important. this emergency orders of small batches creates a lot of extra waste in production and also a stress and extra shipment and so on. So that influences on the whole picture. So planning is very important. Sustainable energy in the Pursue Bureau, which is on top here, is important. Patch size is there too. Packaging and shipments. How many attachments do you add to the shipment? And how is it shipped? It's a different method of shipping. It could be a more sustainable option or not a DHL for every card. And when it comes to the expiration dates and actual usage of the card, we could also look more into the expiration dates of the card, because the tear and wear on the cards are different between the different card types. It's like my debit card are much more tearing and wearing than my credit cards and my third credit card. And I have some, without mentioning any names or logos, I have some bonus cards, and I get a new card every year. And the card itself would last for 3-4 years. So I get a new one every year, even if I have the same level. I will not have the same level next year, but yes. And then end of life, there is no good method how to pick these parts of a card apart, to take out the antenna, to take out the chip, to sort it. There has been nobody that has found a good method for this. So the best is to use a plastic which can be incinerated and don't create pollution. And PVC is not the best one for that. So just let us dig a bit into these polymers. I will not be too techy here, but PVC is polyvinyl chloride, probably right. It's made of crude oil and sodium chloride, and that's salt. And it has been a very good product for many, many years. High quality, very stable, cheap, fantastic, but not good when you start to burn it. And we are looking into other alternatives. We already have some alternatives. These are the ones that we have. Recycled PETG. PETG is more or less the same as these plastic bottles, but the recycled PETG here is taken from another industry, but it's still recycled plastic. PLA, polylactic acid, that comes from cornstarch, and that is really a biodegradable product made out of renewable resources. There is no oil in that. Recycled PVC is, of course, used PVC. Usability is high, and all of these factors are plus minus 75 reduction of CO2 emissions per kilo of this polymer. I just need to add the per kilo polymer to be precise. So the raw material here can be changed for a more sustainable option and then dramatically reduce the environmental impact. And we are looking into options of wooden cards. You can have wooden cards with a combination with recycled PET. You can have cards. There is in development cards based on recycled ocean plastic. They are not really certified yet. They need to go through a lot of certifications at Visa and MasterCard and so on to keep the quality. But there's a lot of things going on here, and we will be going from PVC to some of these more environmental friendly options in the future. Länsförsäkring Bank, they have actually done this. I think it's almost like giving them an applaud. They have been moving to recycle PETG cards. It means that their product will include 99% of the material is recycled. And it's a certified product, so it's not like a greenwashing. It's a really recycled product, certified by Visa and MasterCard, and all their new products will now be made from these recycled PETG. So that's really good, and I expect that more banks will follow this. So summary, card is a competitive differentiator. There is, it seems to be very interesting for the banks to actually brand themselves through the card. And whether they are complex or they are clear designs, easy designs, clear colors, they want to use the card to express themselves in the market. I always notify when somebody pays with a card, not watching their PIN, but I watch, I recognize that card. And customers prefer contactless, and through this COVID-19, contactless has been having an enormous growth. I really believe that contactless is the new future for the cards. Biometric will enable a true contactless experience throughout low-value payments, high-value payment, and the biometric cards can also be combined with sustainable plastic. So I said that. Sustainability is a must. There will be high focus on this, and sustainable cards instead of PVC cards will be the new standard in the future. That was my part. Thank you for your attention. Please visit me at the virtual booth. Thank you.